Hello and welcome to Surrey Library's cooking session. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Amanda and today I'll be making a 3-fruit marmalade which is adapted from my mother's recipe, which in turn was passed on to her by a neighbour over 60 years ago. Marmalades traditionally enjoyed at breakfast, is the favourite food of Paddington Bear, and it also makes an excellent gift for friends. To make this recipe, I use 1 kilo of Seville oranges. These are the bitter oranges grown in Seville. 1 grapefruit, 2 lemons, 1 sweet orange, about 2.5 litres of water, and 2 kilos of granulated sugar. You will also need a large, heavy-bottomed saucepan. So I'm using a stock pot, but a preserving pan is preferable because it has a larger surface area at the top. A large metal spoon, a large chopping board, a good sharp knife, and about 16 jars and tops to pot your marmalade. A funnel, if you have one, and a large bowl and a slotted spoon. And in addition, you will need a piece of muslin, a piece of string, a food thermometer if you have one, 2 saucers, and some waxed discs. To make your marmalade, first wash the fruit and put all the fruit into your pan. Then add the water. Turn the heat on and bring that to the boil. Once it's boiled, turn it down to a low simmer and leave with the saucepan lid on at an angle. And you leave that for about an hour to soften the fruit. So I'm going to leave that for the moment and I'll come back to it when the fruit is soft. While I'm doing that, I can get my jars ready, sterilise them by washing them in really hot soapy water and then rinsing them in very hot water. And then I put the oven on at a low heat. I put my jars in the oven and that will sterilise and dry the jars. When your fruit is nice and soft, so if you can put a knife in and it comes out very easily, and also that the water in the saucepan has reduced considerably by about a third, then you're ready for the next stage. So turn the heat off and then scoop your fruit out into a bowl to cool down. Now you need your fruit to cool down because you're going to be cutting all the fruit up. Now this is the hardest stage probably of making marmalade. It can be rather dull and it does take a long time, but listen to an audiobook while you're doing it and you'll make it much more enjoyable for yourself. But if you leave it for about 10 minutes and then hopefully your fruit will be cool enough to handle. So I will leave that to cool now and I'll come back in about 10 minutes. When your fruit has cooled down a bit, you're ready to start cutting up. Take your piece of muslin, put it in a bowl so that you've got a firm surface. You're going to use that piece of muslin for the pips and any of the bits of orange that you don't want in your marmalade. So you can start cutting up your fruit. Several oranges have a lot of pips, so you need to tease them out. And then you want to cut your fruit up finely. You'll probably keep finding pips, so just keep putting them into your muslin. Pips contain lots of pectin, so the plan is to wrap up all the pips into the muslin and then to hang it over the side of the marmalade while it's cooking, and this helps it to set. This stage is easier if you have an old-fashioned mincer. I don't have one, so I cut everything up by hand. A really sharp knife helps. Right, that's the top bit of the orange. We don't want that in the marmalade, so I'm taking that out and putting that in the muslin. I also put a tea towel under my chopping board because the juice can get everywhere, and the tea towel will just help to soak it up. Ideally you want the juice to be in the marmalade, so try and keep it contained. So cut up as small as you can, because the size chunks you have will be the size that people will be eating, and most people don't like huge chunks. So when you've cut it up, put the chopped up pieces back into the saucepan along with the water from when you boiled the fruit. So keep going until you've chopped up all the fruit. The grapefruit in particular will be very juicy, so try and make an incision in that over your marmalade juice, and that way you save the juice and it goes into your marmalade. So now you've finished cutting up your fruit, add it all back into the pan. Empty any fruit, any juice from your bowl so that you don't lose any of the ingredients. Give it a stir and add your sugar to the pan. Then take your muslin with all the pips and all the bits in and tie that up with a piece of string. Just tie a bow because you're going to be wanting to undo that easily later. Put the muslin bag over the side and just tie the string to the handle of your pan. Again, use a bow rather than a double knot because you will want to undo that quickly later. Stir in your sugar and then turn on the heat again. The other thing you want to watch out for is you don't want your muslin to be trailing in your lit flame or on your electrics, so just make sure that that's tucked out of the way. So turn on your heat again. You want to bring it to a slow boil to start with because you want to dissolve that sugar. It's very important to dissolve the sugar first before bringing to the boil. So that's lovely. That's a good job done with your fruit cut up into tiny pieces, and you need to leave that until that comes to the boil again, and then we're going to start the rapid boiling. So while that's happening, put a couple of plates into the freezer, and you're going to need this to test your jam, your marmalade for a set. So I'm going to leave that there for the moment to come to the boil. So bring your marmalade up to the boil, and you need to boil it for around about half an hour, but keep checking the temperature. You want it to reach about 103 degrees Fahrenheit, or you can, and you can do the saucer test. So I think that this is probably about ready to set, so I'm going to do the saucer test. So I'm going to turn the heat off. I'm going to get a saucer, which I've had in the freezer, and I'm going to take a little bit of the marmalade out and put it on the saucer, and then I'm going to put that back in the fridge for a short time, and then I will do the finger test. So to do the finger test, you put your finger in the marmalade and push it, and if it wrinkles then it's set. Now this hasn't set because it hasn't wrinkled, it's still quite runny. So I'll wash the saucer, put it back in the freezer, I'll turn the marmalade back on and I will try again. The marmalade is changing colour, it's gone quite a gold colour instead of the orange colour that we had earlier, so I think this is very close to being set. So let me turn the heat back on again. I'll give it another few minutes and then I'll try for the set again. Well, I've carried out another finger test on my marmalade and I do think it's done. So it does wrinkle when I push it with my finger. So that's one indicator. Another is the colour of the marmalade. It has turned quite a rich orange colour. And the temperature came to 103 degrees. So I think we're ready for potting. So now we need to leave the, give the marmalade a stir and then leave it for about 10 minutes off the heat. And in 10 minutes time we'll come back and it should be ready to pot. So you're now ready to pot your marmalade. Take off any scum with a slotted spoon, just remove that. Then take a ladle, your sterilised jar, the jam funnel. This is very useful because it helps keep the top of the jars clean. And just start to ladle your jam into your pots. Put a wax disc on the top. And then screw your lid on. And there you have a pot of 3 fruit marmalade. Do label your pots. You want to know what's in them. You might remember now, but when it's in your store cupboard with lots of other things, you may not remember the year that you made your marmalade. So it's a very good idea to label. If you're giving your marmalade away, you probably want to put a list of the ingredients that you've used in case of allergies. When giving marmalade as a gift, I like to put a pretty top on, made from scrap material, cut out with pinking shears, just makes things look pretty. I also make little gift bags, just the perfect size for a marmalade jar. If you'd like to know how to make the gift bag, you can watch the Surrey Library's YouTube video. We made one with how to make Christmas gift bags. I hope you have fun making your marmalade. It does take a whole morning or afternoon, but the satisfaction that comes from seeing your own homemade preserves lined up in a cupboard is well worth the effort. Thank you for joining me today. Do look at our other cooking and craft videos on Surrey Libraries UK Facebook pages, on Twitter and on our YouTube channel. We'd love to see what you've made, so please do post your photos on social media. For other recipes on how to make preserves, we have many books you can borrow from Surrey Libraries, so do reserve your copy and enjoy making your preserves. Thank you and goodbye.